So I'm going to start the discussion for today actually. So Asada Adinava Nissarana is what we looked at last week, and with that we identified what is Asada and the Vipaka Sukha, and we also identified that these are not the same and they are two different things. Or this is actually part of your question as well. So Asada is what you are talking here, to my understanding. So asada is something that you create mentally fabricated thing. So that is the gratification. But vipaka sukha is something else. Vipaka sukha, even the Arihatun Wahanse has the vipaka sukha. Tathagatan Wahanse has had the vipaka sukha. Vipaka anyone can get. Vipaka is not the same. So vipaka is what you get when you from the examples we talked about yogurt and then cake. So the first bit, the pleasure, the sukha that you get, say if it was 10, I think I used 50. Yeah, 50 was the yogurt one, and then when it was the lover, you added another 100 on top. The 100 was the asada. So that is the gratification. That is what was mentally fabricated. But the 50 was vipaka sukha. So that is what you need to understand. And in the cake example, serving cake as well, from the cake there was a sukha. That even an Arihatun Wahanse would get that sukha. But the icing that you put on top of it was the abhisankara, or in other words the asada bit. So that is what you need to understand and get rid of, right? That is where the problem is, because that is mentally fabricated. That wasn't there in the cake. If it was there in the cake, anyone should get the same amount of taste. What is in the cake, anyone should get it, right? The mentally fabricated thing, only the people who mentally fabricated will get that. So that is the difference. So coming to today's start, we will talk about Sapa, Dukkha and Upeksha. Sukha or Dukkha and Adukkhama Sukha, they are all the same, right? Sapa is also known as sukha, is comfort. Then dukkha or dukkha or pain, and then upeksha or adukkhama sukha. That means no dukh or no sukha, none of them. So that is what upeksha is, or in other words neutral. So these are the three that we are going to look at. So these three, even an Arihatun Wahanse or anyone would get. The problem with these three is when you attach with raga, dvesha or moha. So raga, dvesha, moha is the abhisankara, what you put on top of it. So this is where the problem arises. So with sukha, when it's sapa, you attach with raga. Sapa is good. You feel nice, you feel good, happy. So you think, oh, this is good. So then you attach with raga. So the attachment gives you more pleasure. Gives you, as in you feel like. When I use the word gives you, it doesn't really give you, but that is how you feel, right? Don't misunderstand when I say use these phrases. Sometimes you might get it in the wrong manner. It's not that it will give you, but it feels like, because you created some asada inside you. It's created already. For example, you think about some person that you want to see today, and then you are dreaming of seeing that person today, and all of a sudden that person appears. Then you will be really happy. Imagine you weren't thinking, you weren't dreaming about that person, you were dreaming about being alone today, and you wanted to just spend the time alone, maybe doing some meditation or peacefully quiet, then all of a sudden this person appears. It's not going to give you the same pleasure. It's going to probably give you minus pleasure, or you won't be happy to see that person. So it is like that. So because you created it, you get that feeling. You feel like yes. So this is what you need to understand, right? Again, the pain or the dukkha or dukkha. I'm using all these words so that you guys get used to the words. Whenever you see this word, you know, oh, they're talking about the same thing. Otherwise you'll be like, oh, they said dukkha here and dukkha. Is that something else? No, it is the same thing, right? In different languages, I think dukkha is Sanskrit and dukkha is Sinhala. I'm not 100% sure on that. Don't quote me on that one, but I think. But they mean the same, right? And so with the dukkha, when a pain arises, it could be a suffering, you attach with dvesha. You don't want that. You don't like to have any pain. You don't want any mental pain or physical pain. So then you attach with dvesha. And then adukkama sukha or upeksha or neutral, you attach with moha, unless you are Rahatan Vahanse, otherwise you will attach with moha or avidya, right? So when someone attaches with raga, sapa with raga, it becomes a viparinama dukkha. When someone attaches with dvesha, dukkha with dvesha, it becomes dukkha dukkha. When someone attaches upeksha or adukkama sukha with avidya, it becomes sankhara dukkha. So these are the dukkha dukkha, sankhara dukkha, viparinama dukkha explained in the other way, which in one of the first discourses I explained in simple terms. Now this is a little bit deeper, right? We'll go into deep detail on this in the next few weeks. It will be all to do with this sapa, dukkha and upeksha and vipaka and abhisankara. So this is something that everyone needs to understand clearly in order to do meditation, because unless you understand what is vipaka and what is abhisankara, you can't stop the abhisankara. When you know where is vipaka, you can stop it from vipaka. That's it. This is where the avyakruta paticca sampadaya works. Avyakruta is the pure one. So there is it's not polluted. You can maintain there. So you see someone, you identify that person, there is no raga, dvesha, moha there, and then you stop there. You're not going to attach with raga, or you're not going to attach with dvesha, or you're not going to attach with avidya. So that is what you need to understand. So moving on, panchaskandha and pancha upadana skandha is the next thing that we need to understand. It is the same thing. Panchaskandha, I think we talked about this last week as well. Panchaskandha is Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, the 5 aggregates. And Pancha Upadana Skandha is when you attach with Raga, Dvesha, Moha and create the Upadana Skandha, the clinging aggregates. Rupa Upadana Skandha, Vedana Upadana Skandha, Sanya Upadana Skandha, Sankhara Upadana Skandha, Vijnana Upadana Skandha. So that is the other thing you need to understand. There is something very important, that this is a myth, and this is where most people got it wrong, and this is also something that you have to understand clearly in order to get to Dhyana and get the clear vision and the view. people say everything is dukkha. That is also a wrong thing. Again, coming back to that same question. There is sappa, there is dukkha, and there is upeksha. If you take sappa as dukkha, and if you take dukkha also as dukkha, and upeksha also as dukkha, then everything becomes dukkha. That is not correct. That is not Buddhism. Right? If one is saying everything is suffering, then this is very wrong. That is not correct. Right? That is also something that you need to know. And this is not dharma, this is adharma. When you go with adharma, you cannot attain Nibbhana. So that is something that you need to know. I'm getting into coming into the proof from Thripitaka. In Samyukta Nikaya 1, Sakalika Sutra, page 49. In there, they explain about vipaka, and they explain that vipaka cannot be stopped. So if there is a vipaka, it cannot be stopped, is what is explained in here. And even Lord Buddha had to go through vipaka. The Lord Buddha hurt his leg and he suffered from pain. So there are two things that you need to understand here. First one is, even Lord Buddha could not stop vipaka, right? And the next thing is, he hurt his leg and he suffered from pain. So when we say suffered from pain, that is the physical pain. So Lord Buddha ended all the sufferings. When we say all the sufferings, that is to do with mental sufferings. That is also something very important. It is not the physical suffering. Arihatun Wahanse, they will have the physical suffering. Mugalan Maharahatan Wahanse got beaten to death, and it was painful. He had to bear the pain. He tried to escape a couple of times. Then he realized, because it was painful is why he escaped. If there was no pain, he wouldn't escape, right? But then at the end, when he looked, he saw, okay, this is what happened. I have to face this. This is a strong vipaka, and you can't avoid it. So he saw it, and then he had to face it. So these are examples from Thripitaka in the Sakalika Sutra, explaining that vipaka cannot be stopped. Right? And moving on, Satara Satipatthane. Coming to Satara Satipatthane, in Satara Satipatthane they explain Kaye Kayanupassana, Vedana Vedananupassana, Chitte Chittanupassana, Dhamme Dhammanupassana. This is also interesting because it doesn't say Kayanupassana. It's not just Kayanupassana. It's not just Vedananupassana. People make it short. In the short form, they just say Kayanupassana, Vedananupassana, Chittanupassana, Dhammanupassana. But in the sutra, if you read the sutra or if you listen to the sutra, it's talking about Kaye Kayanupassi Viharati. Atapi Sampajano Satima Vinaya Loke Abhijja Domanassa. Then Chitte Chittanupassana. That means there is a Kaya, and then there is a Abhisankara Kaya. So this Abhisankara is what we need to look at and what we need to be aware of and what we need to stop. Not the Kaya not the Kaya. There's nothing you can do about the Kaya. Right? Vedana, Chitta or Dhamma. So that is also something that you need to understand. Vipaka, Panchaskandhe and Aswada Panchaskandhe. The Vipaka 5 aggregates and the Aswada 5 aggregates, the clinging aggregates. Right? And Vipaka Dukkha cannot be overcome is the conclusion of this, right? And moving on, can one overcome the vipaka sukha? So now comes the vipaka sukha, the other side of it. If you move on to Mahapunya Bhai Sutra in Anguttara Nikaya 1, Mahapunya Bhai Sutra. In that, it's talking about punya or pin or merits. In there it says Mahabhikkave punyanam bahayitta sukhan setam bhikkave adhivachanam punyanti. So this is a very popular phrase. Mahabhikkave punyanam bahayitta. Do not be afraid of merits. Sukhan setam adhivachanam punyanti. Sukhan setam. Sukha is another word for merits. So when you receive sukha, pleasure, comfort, that is another word used for merits. So as vipaka, you get sukha because of merits, because of the merits that you have done in the past. So, and Tathagatan Vahanse has mentioned this. Do not be afraid of sukha or merits. Right? Vipaka sukha is absolutely fine. Tathagatan Vahanse was residing in the Jetavana. That was a very comfortable palace. So that was vipaka sukha. It wasn't abhisankara. It didn't matter to Tathagatan Vahanse what happened to Jetavana the next day morning. Right? So that is something that you need to know. You don't need to be afraid of sukha. And also in the same sutra, I think it's in the Sumana Sutra, Pinkala Yutume, Dandi Yutume, Pinkala Yutume. It says you have to do merits. Because what happens is when you do merits, you are creating an environment for you to walk the path easily. So these are merits. Listening to them, preaching them, these are all real big merits. When we do these, we are creating an environment. When we go and sit down to meditate, we get less disturbances because we are trying to help each other to attain Nibbhana. So these are very, very strong and big merits. Right? So that is also something that you need to know. So doing merits is a good thing, and we should be doing merits as much as we can. And something that you need to know when you are doing merits, you need to do it in your capacity. Because what happens otherwise is, say you have 100 pounds or say you have 1,000 pounds, but you need 500 pounds for your expenses, and you want to save 200 pounds for something, and then you want to do something for another 150 pounds, for example. Now you have another 150 left out of that. So this 150 you are happy to spend on merits, or to give it to someone. Maybe it could be a dana, it could be anything. It could be a donation, it could be anything, right? An alms. But you think, okay, I have 1,000, now 500 is my expense. I know I need 200 more, and I'm trying to keep another 150, but I'm going to give 500 as an alms. But inside you're thinking, no, this I should have kept it. I shouldn't give the whole thing. Then I'm going to suffer. I'm not going to save this. Blah blah blah. Then you are in two minds. It's better to not be in two minds when you're giving, because when you are in two minds, you are not really happy. When you are giving something, you should be really happy about it. The more happier you are, the more merits you will get. Like when the Jetavana was donated or offered to Tathagatan Vahanse by Ane Pinusitu, they say a silver palace appeared in the heaven for Anepinasitu. And one man who was watching this was really pleased and he was really happy. He became really happy about this. He didn't spend a penny, but he was really happy, and a gold palace appeared in the heaven for him. So it is about the pleasure, is the happiness that you get by doing these good things or merits. So you need to understand that as well. This is also something important to know. Right? Coming back to the next point, it's talking about the anicca, dukkha, anatta now. Anicca they have explained as aniccang kayattena, dukkhang bayattena, and anattang asarakattenati. So anicca, dukkha, anatta are another three words that are very, very important and is also the base of Buddhism. If one understands anicca, dukkha, anatta, one comprehends deeper understanding, come to deep understanding, that person is sotapanna. He's never going to go back to the hells. Right? So aniccang kayattena, ka aya. Kayattena is ka aya. You have to see that in that manner as well. When you go behind asada, ka aya, ka is the downside or the towards the hells or down. It's pulling you down. It's not pushing you front, or it's pulling you backwards. Ka aya means it's pulling you backwards, or it's pulling you down. Right? Coming back, so aniccang kayattena, ka aya. So anicca in this is the way you need to understand anicca another way, right? It's not one way. When we say anicca, it had been explained in so many ways, right? So that is also one way. Attiyati harayati jigucchati is another way. So it's actually it's three other ways, right? So this is also aniccang kayattena, dukkham bayattena, bha. So bayattena means dukkha. Dukkha you have to see in a, you have to be scared of this. Why you have to be scared of is not in, oh my God, I am scared. It's not that way. But by going behind these, something that you cannot fulfill, you have to take it in that perspective, because you are doing so many things, trying to fulfill the six senses, but it's never going to happen. You know it will never happen. So it's a pointless exercise. So you look at it in that way. It's in a scary manner. It is no point in doing that. Oh, and then anattang asarakattenati. There is no meaning of doing this. Right? These are the three that you need to know. And the next point is, I'm making going through point by point to make sure we cover everything that people have discrepancies about, right? Confusions about. Something that you might have heard people saying, I know all about dukkha. I have suffered enough. I know everything to do with suffering. Right? So that is something we need to understand. What is this suffering they are talking about, and what is the real suffering, or what is the dukkha arya satya? Because it is also saying about dukkha. So you're thinking, okay, there is a dukkha and there is a dukkha arya satya. Is that the same? You might have a question, and it is not the same. Right? Coming back to the suffering. So people say, I know I have suffered enough in my life. I know how suffering is. I know I have faced suffering and I understand suffering. And that is not understanding suffering. There are two aspects of suffering. When you say suffering or dukkha, I am talking about dukkha, right? There is a dukkha to do with dukhe dukkha, and there is a dukkha to do with sape dukkha. In terms of asa, the pleasure, there is a dukkha. in terms of suffering itself or pain, there is a dukkha on that as well. The pain or the suffering or the dukkha, anyone can understand. You don't have to become intelligent. You don't need to become a human to understand dukkha. If you hit a dog, or if you take something to hit even an animal, they will understand the pain. So they will scream and shout. When you try to kill an animal, they will scream with pain because they understand the pain, right? But that is not the dukkha that we are talking about, and that is not the Arya Vinaya dukkha. That is not the noble dukkha Arya Satya, right? Dukkha or dukkha is the pain they are talking about. But sape dukkha is what we need to know. We think this is sapa, we think this is gratification, this is asade, this is very good, this is pleasure. But there is a hidden dukkha in there. There is a hidden suffering inside. Only a person who comprehended the Dhamma would understand what this suffering is. Otherwise, they will think, no, there is no problem with that. This is pleasure. Pleasure is good. Right? I am talking about the asada, which is the abhisankara bit, right? Don't mix this with the vipaka sapa. This is not vipaka I am talking about. This is the abhisankara bit, right? So we think, okay, because it is mentally fabricated, we have created this mentally, and now we think, okay, this is very good, but this is what the Arya Vinaya dukkha is, and dukkha Arya Satya is, right? No need to be scared of sapa or pleasure or comfort. You don't need to be scared of the vipaka sapa. You need to be scared of only the abhisankara sapa that you create mentally, because that is never going to fulfill you. That is how you look at the dukkha in a frightened manner, right? And also this path, if we are talking about the path, you will see that you will be going through a lot of comfort and pleasure as sukha in terms of vipaka. And just because you come across a lot of sukha, you shouldn't be scared of that either, because this path is full of pleasure and comfort, right? When you become a monk, you will get offered loads of things. You will get a lot of money maybe. People will offer you loads of things, and you shouldn't get attached to them. You shouldn't think back. You shouldn't be thinking, oh, I could do something else with this. No, this is given to the ministry of Buddhism. This is given for the Buddha Shasana. It's not for you. It's given because you are walking the path, because of the quality. It's not given for you personally or to you personally, right? So it is given for what you're doing, because they understand the value of what you're doing, and hence why they are giving it to you. That is also something that you need to understand. In taking an example from Thripitaka, Kuddaka Nikaya, Sutta Nipate, 243rd page, it says, when a karma happens, one becomes happy, right? When a karma happens, you have a karma desire, and the karma desire happens. You want to see something, you want to smell something, you want to taste something, you want to touch something happens, you become happy, right? In Buddhism, aswada is dukkha or suffering in terms of wisdom and not in a pain perspective. That is also something. So asada, we call it asada dukkha, but not in terms of like a pain. So what they are saying in Khuddaka Nikaya is, when someone wants something as a karma, and when it happens, they will be happy, they will enjoy it, right? So in terms of pain, it is a good feeling that they get. So calling asada a suffering, when we call asada a suffering, right, it is in terms of with the wisdom, you think, oh, this, with the brain you're thinking intelligently, this is a suffering, because why? It's never going to fulfill. You create something mentally, fabricate something mentally, and then you try to enjoy. You're looking at an image and trying to get asada from that image, and the image doesn't even possess that asada. So that is why there is, you look at it in a suffering, in a way of suffering, right? When I say suffering, don't take it in the wrong way, right? Sukha, when you try to fulfill sukha as an abhisankara, you feel like it's sukha, you feel like it's giving pleasure. But don't misunderstand this. How we have to look at it is as a suffering. This is a suffering. This is a process of suffering. We do it again and again and again. Just take one example that you really like doing, and you keep on doing, trying to fulfill it. I don't need to give you examples. You can take, whether it's from the eye, from the nose, from the tongue, or the body, or the ear. You take your own example and try to see if it is a suffering or not. When you are thinking like this, now we can see it. Yes, of course, I have spent so much money on this, right? People spend so much money on things to satisfy, but have you satisfied? Or have your senses being satisfied? So that is what you need to see. If you have, then why would you be interested in any more? If you are interested in any more, then you are not satisfied. You feel like you fulfilled at that time, but it didn't really happen. And then again, in the Karma, the Khuddaka Nikaya Sutta Nipata itself, it says, when a karma does not happen, then one suffers mentally. You want to fulfill something, you want to get some pleasure from, say, visions, from the sounds, from the taste, whatever, but it doesn't happen. Imagine you go to, I'll give you a good example. You wanted, you decide with your better half, you decide, okay, we are going to have some nice Indian or nice Chinese today. And then you think about the restaurant. Okay, we are going to go to this restaurant and we are going to have this. You think, before you even leave to the restaurant, you think everything. Okay, we are going to have this wine, this restaurant has this type of wine, and we are going to have this starters and this main course, this dessert, whatever you discuss, and then you leave. You go to where the restaurant is and you find out the restaurant is closed. Imagine that happens. That's happened to me. I know how annoying it is, and you want, if you were going for an Indian restaurant, you really want another Indian the same way. And that is when you suffer most. If you were going for Chinese, then you want Chinese. You don't want anything else. You don't want to change it. You're like, no, I was ready to have this Chinese. Everything was ready for this. Now I can't not have this kind of thing. I don't know if you have come across this, but I have, right? So then you suffer mentally. right? So those are the two. When sukha happens, you enjoy. When the sukha doesn't happen, or when the asada doesn't happen, when you're trying to fulfill the karma, when it doesn't happen, you get angry, you suffer, you're not happy, right? So this is where that starts. When it happens, you like it, you get attached to it with raga. When it doesn't happen, you get attached with dvesha, you get angry, you start getting worried, and then that is when when you react in a angry way. And coming back to what we said before, letting everything go, or we talked about saying it's not everything we are talking about. Everything is not what we need to let go. As you all know, Nibbhana or Nibbhana is Raga Kayo Nibbhana, Dvesha Kayo Nibbhana, Moha Kayo Nibbhana. These three are the Nibbhana, not anything else. So if you try to give up everything, if you try to let go everything, it's not the right way of doing it. And more proof of this is Majjhima Nikaya Kitagiri Sutra. In the Kitagiri Sutra it says, in the 241st page, they say, some sukha will increase immoral activities. Going behind some sukha, right? This is all avisankara I'm talking about, because you're going behind, you're trying to do something. It's not vipaka, right? So some sukha or some pleasure will increase immoral activities, or it will increase raga, dvesha, moha. These should be stopped. You shouldn't be going behind these. And these are asada. When you go behind asada, right, it will increase immoral activities. Dasa akusala, the 10 immoral activities, or raga, dvesha, moha. These should be stopped. Some pleasures or some sukha will decrease the immoral activities, or decrease the raga, dvesha, moha. These should be carried on. You might be wondering what this is. There are sukha. For example, dhyana sukha, dhyana suvaya. So you meditate and you come to a dhyana, that is sukha. That is also pleasure. You can feel the pleasure. You can feel how tranquil it is, how nice it is. So that is also sukha. These you shouldn't give up. You should do more and more, because they will remove the raga, dvesha, moha. They will decrease the raga, dvesha, moha, and eventually you will be walking towards Nibbhana, because raga kayo Nibbhana, dvesha kayo Nibbhana, moha kayo Nibbhana. And in the same way, there are some sufferings that will increase immoral activities and should be stopped. Like dvesha. Dvesha is a suffering. You are suffering. These should be stopped, because dvesha itself it's not dvesha kayo, it's you're increasing the dvesha. So it's not helping. It will increase the immoral activities as well as raga, dvesha, moha. So you should be stopping these kind of sufferings. And there are some sufferings that will decrease the immoral activities and should be carried on. For example, if you want to control yourself, you might feel like, I am suffering here. It's not easy for me to do this. But you have to do this in order to walk the path. So that is also something that you need to know, which is very important. You shouldn't let everything go. You need to let go the raga, dvesha and moha. And the activities to do with raga, dvesha, moha is what you need to let go. Whether it's sapha or dukkha shouldn't matter. Right? Because some sapha you have to maintain some supper in order to get to Nibbhana. For example, Dhyana Sukha, Dhyana Supper. The more you get to Dhyana, the more you contemplate, the more you do the meditation, you will see, you will understand the pleasure, the real pleasure coming from inside, not from the outside world that you are trying to do all the time, because it will never give you anything. But this pleasure comes from deep inside you. You can feel it and you can maintain it. It's not like looking at a vision and trying to fulfill the eye, and then after a couple of minutes you're like fed up with that. No, I want to see something else now. If you were listening to a song, you listen 4 or 5 times and that's it. You want to listen to another one because you're fed up with that. But with the dhyana, once you get to Prathama dhyana, Dvitiya dhyana, Tritiya dhyana, you don't want to change it. You don't want to come back. You want to stay there. I can remember one day I was in Amesham. I was meditating for about 7 hours. 3 sessions. There was a break. I was thinking, no, what is the point in going for the break? This is much more pleasurable and comfortable here. If I go and take a break, I don't need a break actually. I wasn't hungry, I wasn't thirsty, I didn't have to go to the toilet or anything. So I was thinking, okay, if I go and get back to the normal mode, which is out of the dhyana, then I might find it difficult to get to this comfort. So I was like, no, I will just stay here. Right? So it is like that. And moving on, proof for Rahatan Vahanse to have Sukha, Dukkha, Upeksha, Vedana as Vipaka. Right? Sangyukta Nikaya 2, Parivimansana Sutra, 131st page. If Sukha comes, he will not attach. As in, if something happen that will give Sukha, he will not attach with it like a normal person. If Dukkha comes, he will not attach either. Right? If Upeksha comes, he will not attach either. With a normal person, if a Sukha comes, he or she attaches with Raga. If a Dukkha comes, he or she attaches with Dvesha. If Upeksha comes, he or she will attach with Avidya. Right? Sukha, Dukkha, Upeksha is not the noble, the Four Noble Truths or the Dukkha Arya Satya. This is not Sukha, Dukkha, Upeksha is not the Four Noble Truths. That's also something that you need to understand. That is also explained in the Sutra. And moving on to the next proof of Majjhima Nikaya 1, Mahakamma Vibhanga Sutra. In this, it's a story. A man comes, walks into the temple and speaks to a bhikkhu, to a monk. This monk didn't have he wasn't Sotapanna. He didn't know exactly about Dhamma properly. So he had a wrong view. Right? Even now you can see a lot of monks with the wrong views. Right? It's not their fault. It's what they understood. There's nothing one can do about it. They understand what they understand. So this man comes and speaks to this monk and he asks, do you believe in Sukha, Dukkha and Upeksha? Or Sapa, Dukkha and Upeksha? He's asking this monk. Then the monk says, of course, we do. So this person is from a different religion, or maybe one of the other people who don't believe this. Right? So he comes and asks. Then he says, yes. So what is that you guys call dukkha? Now he asks the second question. So what do you guys call as dukkha then? Then the monk says, all these three are the dukkha in Buddhism. Sapa, dukkha, upeksha. And this might answer the question you had as well, Lucas. So this person, this monk, answers this. All these three, Sapa, dukkha, upeksha, all are dukkha in Buddhism. Then the man blames this monk, saying, "How stupid are you? You are saying sukha is also dukkha, dukkha is also dukkha, and upeksha is also dukkha. Now this is crazy." And then he walks away. On the way he blames everyone, and he is just walking. He is trying to walk out of the temple. Now on the way he meets Ananda Therun, right? And then Ananda Theru asks, why is he blaming? Why are you blaming everyone? What happened? And then the man explains to him, this is what happened. I asked him, and this monk says, Sukha, Dukkha and Upeksha, all three are sufferings, all three are that is the Dukkha in Buddhism. And then Ananda Theru goes and reports this to Tathagata Vahanse. Then the Tathagata Vahanse comes and blames the monk. What you said is wrong. You should never say something without understanding it properly, because he is trying to explain something that he didn't understand, and he is saying it wrong, and that will give a wrong impression on the other person and about Buddhism as well. So what one needs to let go is the attachment based on the vipaka, sapa, dukkha and upeksha. So what one needs to let go is the vipaka, is the attachment on the vipaka, sapa, dukkha and upeksha. So vipaka sapa is vipaka sapa, that is a pleasure, vipaka. Vipaka dukkha is vipaka dukkha, and vipaka upeksha is vipaka upeksha. So when someone gets some pleasurable thing, that is to do with vipaka, that is not the abhisankara. But if you attach with it lustfully or with raga, is when you create the abhisankara, and that is the problem. Or when you attach with hatred or with anger, with dukkha, that is when you create the abhisankara, and that is a problem, right? Moving on, Majjhima Nikaya Devdaha Sutraya, page 3. In that, they explain, not everything is because of karma or karma, right? But karma also has an effect, some sort of effect. Because people can't blame everything on karma. Oh, everything happens because of karma, there's nothing I can do about it. So that is also wrong. That is what in Majjhima Nikaya Devdaha Sutra says. Vipaka is from karma. If something happens, for example, a vipaka, it could be sukha, it could be dukkha, that is from karma. The abhisankara bit is the creation, the mental creation. For example, from the cake, the 10 from the cake was vipaka, and the 90 that you put on top was the abhisankara. So this 90 is what we need to stop, because when we put the 90 we are creating an abhisankara world, and there is where the suffering begins. So trying to spend, okay, so with this, what they are saying is, there is another view which is a very wrong view of Nibbhana. That is the Nibbhana's teaching. He believed that you have to spend all the vipaka in order to overcome the suffering. So that is also wrong. You don't have to spend all the vipaka in order to, as in the bad vipaka. What he believed was, you have to spend all the bad vipaka, and then is when you attain enlightenment. Until then you can't. That is wrong. And if that was the case, Tathagata Vāsa has mentioned that no one would be able to overcome this samsara, because that's how far you have come and that's how long you have come, and you will never be able to spend all the vipaka. What you can do is you stop the abhisankara and then you end the journey that way. You are the one who's creating the journey by the abhisankara. So that is how you stop it. And again, Nibbhana is Ragakkayo Nibbhanam, Dveshakkayo Nibbhanam, and Mohakkayo Nibbhanam. So unless you clearly understand this, you wouldn't know what to do when walking the path. So if you know what needs to be done is Ragakkayo, Dveshakkayo, Mohakkayo. This is what you need to be doing. Ragakkaya and Dveshakaya. When you do that, first you need to do the Dvesha. This is the most powerful one and has the worst effects. You have to stop the Dvesha first. Then you come to Raga. Raga, there is something called Mahasavadya and Alpasavadya. Mahasavadya are the most dangerous or most effective ones. So Mahasavadya can be in a good way or in a bad way. So Mahasavadya Pau or Mahasavadya sin is Dvesha. Right? Raga is a Alpasavadya sin. Right? So the conclusion here, sapa or pleasure, or dukkha or suffering, or peksha as in noduk, nosuva, are all vipaka and cannot overcome. There's nothing you can do about the pleasure, the sukha, dukkha and adukkama sukha, vipaka. Right? So that is the conclusion of that. In Anguttara Nikaya 5, Kamadi Vachana Sutra, we are moving on to the next one. Right? 251, page 251. They are talking about the Kama Adi Vachana. The Adi Vachana is another word. So what are the other words used for Kama in Buddhism or in the Thripitaka? So this is in the Anguttara Nikaya, Kama Adi Vachana Sutra. Kama Adi Vachana. So the Adi Vachana for Kama. Bhaya. Kameta Adi Vachana ki. Roga. Bhaya is the it's like the being frightened or the fright or being scared is another word for karma. You should be scared of karma, right? Because end of the day it will not fulfill. That is why you need to be scared in an intelligent perspective. Don't take it as a pain perspective, right? It's not in terms of pain, not as a not how you feel in terms of the body. It is to do with the mind. I hope you understand the difference, right? Because karma gives you pleasure in terms of the body. It's comfortable, it's good, it feels good. But when you think about it, with your brain, with your wisdom, when you think about what you're doing, then you understand I should be scared of this, I shouldn't be going behind this kind of thing, right? And another word used is roga. Roga is like diseases. So these are the two main words used. There are words called a few other words called ganda, salla, panka, sangha, so on and so forth. But these are the two main words because we use roga, nirogi vetva. So when we say nirogi vetva, getting rid of the karma, that is the roga we have, that is the disease we have, running around as maniacs, running around trying to fulfill. That is the roga, that is the disease we have. That is the problem we have, right? And in short, asadya is the dukkha in Buddhism. Again, not as a pain perspective, but in as a mental suffering, right? It is a dukkha in terms of mentally. It is a suffering. But you don't feel like mental suffering unless you understand the Dhamma. Once you understand the Dhamma is when you start saying, yes, this is a pain, this is a disease. I need to stop this. How do I stop this? That is why you guys are here trying to stop it, trying to find the ways of stopping it, right? This is what will be discussed in the next few discourses. Again, these are the things that will be discussed again and again in deeper detail, in taking examples from Thripitaka here and there, because we have to map everything together. So how we map is by taking parts from different sutra and mapping all together, because everything has to map properly. Nothing should have any discrepancy, right? So Sapa, you attach with raga. Dukkha, you attach with dvesha. Upeksha, you attach with avidya. That is how you create the three dukkha. The Sapa you attach, and then you create the viparinama dukkha. Dukkha you attach and create the dukkha. Upeksha you attach with avidya and you create the sankhara dukkha. All these three are abhisankhara, and they are anicca, dukkha, anatta, right? When I say anicca, dukkha, anatta, these are all three are again linked to each other. It says yada niccang tan dukkhang yan dukkhang tadanatta, right? If something is anicca, or if it is not fulfilling, then it is a suffering. If something is not fulfilling and if it is a suffering, then it's a pointless exercise. So that is what anatta is, right? The conclusion is Sapa and asada, or Sapa Vedana and asada, are two different things. They are not the same thing. Don't take it as one thing. Vipaka Sapa is one thing, and asada is the abhisankhara bit that you create on top, like the icing cake. You get the cake and then you put some icing yourself through your mind. So that is the that is what you need to know. So that is all for today. Let's see.